panic, chaos and injuries at the Dubai airport overnight, and a Shahed drone striking a luxury hotel in Dubai's Palm Jumeirah.
Oh my God.
We're seeing the Middle East absorb a wave of Iranian retaliation. Strikes are hitting countries that host U.S. military bases and reaching a port in Dubai. It's one of the largest and busiest ports in the Middle East. For how Gulf states are reacting, let's go to CNN's Paula Hancock's in Dubai. So Paula, bring us the latest. How are they reacting to this?
Well, Pamela, we've really seen no let-up in the retaliation from Iran to many of these Gulf nations, and the reaction from the governments is one of anger. These are Gulf nations who, for the most part, had said that their military bases could not be used if there were to be this US-Israeli attack on Iran. They have said that their airspace could not be used. They had also been lobbying the US president behind the scenes and quite publicly not to take the military route, but to continue with diplomacy. So countries here in the Gulf really felt like they had distanced themselves with what has happened over the past 24, 36 hours, but it doesn't appear to have made any difference. Iran's still carrying out these retaliatory attacks, missiles and drones coming into these Gulf nations, nations which are very unaccustomed to being part of this kind of large, unprecedented military attack. This here in Dubai, I mean, this is an international global hub. This is a global commerce hub. It is an area where tourists come. And certainly it is very unprecedented to see people rushing to parking lots. There are no air raid shelters officially here, but trying to get away from the incoming missiles. Now, just in the UAE alone, they have said, and this is several hours ago, so this number will be higher now, at least 137 missiles, 200 plus drones have been intercepted by the defense systems here. Now, we have been hearing from officials that they do have strong air defense systems, that they are able to intercept what is coming in from Iran. But as I say, there is across the Gulf nations been strong condemnation against Tehran that they have been targeted. Some also saying that they reserve the right to retaliate. When questioned, though, those officials do not enlarge on what they mean by that. We did hear one Emirati official saying they are not just going to sit by idly and watch this happen, but it is not clear at this point, apart from the defensive nature of what they are doing, what more they could do against these strikes.
Let me bring in Reem bint Ibrahim al-Hashimi. She's the Member of State for International Cooperation for the UAE. And Reem, thank you for joining us from Dubai this morning. It is hard to overstate just how shocking these images are to UAE residents who are used to this country being a beacon of safety and stability, as Iran now threatens the, quote, heaviest offensive in its history following the Supreme Leader's death. Can you give us the very latest on the scope and scale of the targets and casualties so far, and what more the UAE is bracing for today?
Thank you very much, Becky, for having me, and thank you for your program as well. It's a really unprecedented time for us. This is something we've tried to avoid in the last couple of weeks and months as we had encouraged dialogue and de-escalation. Unfortunately, we're at a situation right now where Iran has, through very unjustifiable and very unlawful measures, taken attacks not just to the UAE, but also to the rest of the Gulf and beyond. That is something that we do not accept. We have one of the best defense systems in the world, and we are confident that we will be able to continue to support our infrastructure and protect the people who live here. I know it's a scary time for a lot of the residents. You had mentioned that, because you're right, we don't hear these types of loud sounds, but at the same time, those are sounds of interception. And where there has been damage, that has been primarily debris. And so I do think it is important that we reaffirm to the people of the UAE, both expatriates but also nationals alike, that we have one of the best air-to missile defense systems in the world, and that we are doing everything to ensure that we continue to be safe and secure.
These threats from Iran had been telegraphed should they be attacked by the US. They were on Saturday morning. The threats were on US bases, effectively, around this region and in the UAE. These strikes have been wider than that. I note the attacks, for example, on sort of hotels and civilian infrastructure in the UAE. How much worse do you fear this could get? And what is your sense of the targeting here?
So however way they want to move, we will be ready for that. We, of course, do not want further escalation. We are calling for calm and measured responses. But by the same token, as you noted earlier, over 137 ballistic missiles, over 200 drones, that has been intercepted by the defense system in the UAE. We continue to urge de-escalation. We're working with our partners all around the world, and receiving from them assurances not only of support and coordination, but also severe condemnation that this has taken a much larger regional standpoint by really implicating other countries in the Gulf as well.
And you've urged de-escalation, as you say, arguing diplomacy is the only way forward. Now we've seen official statements as well from the UAE and around the Gulf region condemning the attacks, and a clear message: we reserve the right to retaliate. Reem, what is that response likely to look like?
Well, it depends, Becky, and it's a really fluid and dynamic situation right now. But rest assured to the people of this country that we will leave no stone unturned to make sure that we do defend ourselves, and we are prepared for that. We hope it doesn't come to it, but by the same token, we're not going to sit idly by as we continue to be recipients of such a barrage of attacks that are unlawful and unjustified as well.
CNN's Bijan Husseini is joining us now live from Doha, and as you and I speak, I just see comments in that we are alerting on CNN. The British Defence Secretary has described Iran as lashing out indiscriminately across the Middle East. What's been happening where you are, Bijan?
Yeah, Becky, we might have actually just heard an air defense missile system above us. This one sounded very far away. Obviously, we will go and take cover if these air defense systems are reacting nearby. But what we started our day was by witnessing what was a very loud and extended round of missiles. That was about 6 hours ago. Ministry of Interior from Qatar saying they successfully intercepted those missiles. There was debris or shrapnel that fell from one of those interceptions, falling in the industrial area on the outskirts of Doha, causing a fire. The ministry also confirmed that civil defense were on site at that fire working to put it out, and that no injuries there were taking place. And just on the back of that, numbers from yesterday from the ministry, they counted 65 missiles entering the country from Iran, 12 drones. They say they successfully intercepted 64 of those missiles and 11 of those drones. Obviously, the big worry here is that shrapnel and that debris falling. The last update from the ministry is 16 injuries. We haven't received any word on any deaths, so we'll continue to track that as well. I will say the strikes today have felt a lot different than what we witnessed Yesterday, we saw and we heard with our own eyes around a dozen rounds of missiles that kind of came and went around every 15 to 30 minutes intermittently throughout the day. Today, we saw those first strikes about 6 hours ago. We had eyewitnesses that saw another wave. We couldn't see or hear that from where we are. And since then, it's been a little quiet until we just heard that last, what was a potential air defense system taking place. It's also worth mentioning that today is Sunday here in Qatar. It's the start of the working week, but emergency alert systems have gone out telling everyone to work from home, telling everyone to shelter in place. There is still some traffic, but nowhere near what it would be on a normal Sunday. It's very empty right now. And I want to add that the airspace obviously still remains closed. Schools are shut until further notice, and also all events have been closed and postponed until further notice. And it's worth mentioning that all of these rocket strikes, we believe, are heading to Al Udeid Air Base. As you know, it's the largest U.S. air base in the Middle East. It usually houses some 10,000 American military personnel. We know over the last 6 weeks that number has been dropping. They've been evacuating non-essential personnel. But we've also seen a military equipment buildup at that base. Some air refuel tankers, some cargo planes have been propping up over there, Becky. So we'll continue to watch that as well.